Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I have another vintage quilt block for you. This one is called Diamond Star, and this is a 12-inch block. It has a focus fabric in the center of a 4.5-inch square, and then uses flying geese units and half square triangles. So those are units that I've used throughout this whole series, so there's nothing new. It's just arranged differently in different colorways. So I hope you'll stay with me, and I'll show you how to make this block. Okay, here are the fabrics that you're going to need to make the Diamond Star block. For A, you need one piece that is 4.5 inches square. For B, you need 4 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles. For C, you need 4 2.5 inch squares. For D, you need 4 3-inch squares. For E, you need 4 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles, and F is 8 2.5 inch squares, G is 4 3-inch squares, and H is 12 2.5 inch squares. Now on the F squares, you're going to draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of these, and for the H squares, you're going to draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of 8 of those. So that will get you all prepared to get started on this block. And first thing we're going to do is make flying geese units. And there's 2 different units that we're going to make. So the first one we're going to use F squares and B rectangles. For the second one, we're going to use E rectangles and H squares. So we're going to make flying geese out of these. So let's go to the sewing machine and get started. Okay, so for the flying geese units, I'm going to lay the F square right sides together with the B rectangle on the left side of the rectangle. And I'm going to sew from the center of the rectangle, which is the upper right hand corner of the square, down to the lower left hand corner. And you can draw a line here, which is what the directions tell you to do, or you can use a piece of tape on your machine, or some kind of a seam guide that you can commercially purchase seam guide. And I'm going to sew using this, and I'm lining up this corner of this square with my needle and this corner with the left edge of the tape, and then I'm going to sew, and that will give me a straight diagonal line on this piece, and I don't have to take the time to draw the line on there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make one flying geese unit for you, and then I'll go make the rest off camera. Okay, now I need to cut off this outer triangle, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then I'm going to press it up like this. Now we're going to do the same with this side. Just put the rectangle on the right, or the square on the right side of the rectangle. So from the center to the bottom right corner. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut off the outer edge, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now you can use your rotary cutter for this too if you want, but I don't do that. And then I'm going to press this open, and I'll have the flying geese unit. Okay, this one's pressed and all ready to go. So I'm going to make 4 of these, and then I'll make 4 with the other 2 fabrics. Okay, so now I have my 4 flying geese units here. These are the B and the F pieces, and now I need to make some with E and H pieces. So here are the E's, here are the H's. So we'll just do the same thing that we did with the other flying geese units, same process. Now if you have foundation paper for flying geese, or if you like a different method of doing that, you know, just go with whatever you're comfortable with. The instructions are written for just this method here, so you may have to adjust your fabric amounts in how you cut your pieces if you do it and use a different method. Okay, so now we're going to do this side. Go from the center to the bottom right hand corner. Okay, so here's this flying geese. Now I need to make 3 more of those. Okay, now we need to make half square triangles, so we're going to use the D and the G squares, and on the back of the G squares I've drawn a diagonal line, and we're going to sew a 1/4 inch away from the diagonal line on both sides, and then we'll cut those right on that diagonal line. So this will make 8 half square triangles, and they're going to be oversized, so we'll have to trim them after they're sewn. So just place them right sides together and sew a 1/4 inch away from both sides of that drawn line. Okay, so they're all sewn. Now I'm just going to cut right on the drawn line. And you can use your rotary cutter for this too if you want. For me, it's just easier to use my scissors. Okay, now I have 8 half square triangles right here, and I'm going to go ahead and press towards the teal color here, so my darker color, and then I'll trim off the dog ears. Okay, now I need to square these up, or trim them down actually, and get rid of the dog ears. Now some of them I started trimming them off, but since I'm going to trim down the squares to 2.5 inches square, I can trim off the dog ears at the same time. So I'm going to line my 45-degree line on my ruler with the seam line, and the edge is going to go, of the block is going to go at the 2.5 inch mark on both sides. And I'm going to go like this. I'm going to trim this one on all 4 sides because it's a little bit off. So there we go. Do that, and then I'm going to turn it, and you can use a rotating mat too if you've got that. I've got one, but which this is a rotating mat, but so I just finish squaring that up a little bit, and there I have a 2.5 inch square half square triangle. So I'm going to do that with all of the triangles. Not all of them are going to need to be trimmed on all 4 edges. Some of them are just going to need 2 edges done, like this one. I'm going to turn this one in to get that dog ear. And I think this one is a little bit long on that side. So here we go. So that's all you need to do for your half square triangles. Okay, now we need to make the corner units. We're going to sew those together. So we'll need our half square triangles, we'll need C squares, and we'll need H squares. So I'm just going to put them all together. So we need the C square to go here. Half square triangles, we're going to put the colors matching. So we need 4 on each side. There's 2, 3, and 4. So I'm just stacking them all up, and then the H squares are going to go here. So we're going to make this unit. So I'm going to sew this seam here for these 2 pieces and these 2 pieces here at this seam. I will press the seam and then I will sew this seam here. So I'm just going to chain piece these all together to save time. And then here is the bottom row. Okay, now that I have these 2 sections together, I need to sew them into a block. So I'm going to go ahead and nest my seams. I'm going to go ahead and pin and then sew this seam. Line up. So here are my corner units. So I'm going to press and then we'll work on the flying geese units. Okay, for the flying geese units I just need to sew them with the pink colors matching. So we're just going to lay them like that, and I'm going to turn them over so I can see this flying geese because I want to see the point. And what I want to do is to sew right to the seam side of where those 2 lines of stitching cross. So just right above that. And that will keep that point from being blunted off. Okay, and so this is what I have. The point looks good, and so I need to make 3 more of these. Okay, now I have all of my pieces laid out in rows. I have the whole block laid out, so let me show you that. Okay, I have the whole block laid out. Everything's in rows. I have my corner units here and my flying geese units, and then I have the center A square. So this is my focus fabric here. Okay, so now I'm just going to sew things into rows, and then I will sew the rows together, and then we'll be done. Okay, I have points to match in this area here. I've got a flying geese, corner of the flying geese here, and the corner right here on this piece. So I'm going to match these units as best I can. Repin and then sew. So now I'm going to press and we'll sew the rows together. Okay, so the block is sewn together, so let me press it and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so here's the block. It's all ready to be pressed, and you can press it however you want. You can do it, the seams open, you can press them to one side. These seem to want to go towards the center, so I'm going to try that. I found a lot of times it's just best to let the block tell me which way it wants to go. So we'll see how this works. But then there's other times that you just have to make it go one way or the other. This is doing pretty well. So I think this turned out pretty well. It needs to be squared up a little bit, but that's fine. I can manage that. So here we go. Here we have the diamond star block. Well, that is it for the diamond star block. I think this is a real pretty block. I hope you'll give this one a try. This one isn't too difficult. It's flying geese units and half square triangles and plain squares. So that's about all there is to it. There are a lot of pieces to it, so I would still call this an intermediate block, especially since you have a lot of points to match in this one. But I hope you will try this one out. So if you like this video, please click that like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Share the video with your friends, and don't forget to click that notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video comes up. And in the meantime, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.